The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
And here we are at the end of week 11 of the 2025 CFL season, live on YouTube. Sheldon, I sure hope this goes well, but there's no turning back now, brother. We are just after the BC Lions and Montreal Alouettes game, where the Lions ended up getting themselves a 36-18 victory Saturday night at BC Place. But there's some big CFL news going on that we've got to talk about first, and that actually relates to next season. And let me first get it out of the way that the World Cup is obviously a world-class event.
Yeah,
and I am not naive to that fact. However, there have been years of... we've known this for years, that it's coming in 2026. Some games are going to be in Vancouver. Some games are going to be in Toronto. So that does affect the Argonauts, and it does affect the BC Lions. But right now, we're seeing which owner is more committed to making it a better situation for their respective club. That is the BC Lions, and this has been the talk all this week on X among CFL fans, at least since Thursday. Let's just go with the Argos. They're going to lose 3 home games. The deal is that they're going to be the home team in Saskatchewan against the Riders. They're going to be the home team in Winnipeg against the Bombers. And they're going to be the home team in Hamilton against the Ticats. That is the situation right now. And Argo fans are very angry. And Sheldon, I think, deservedly so.
Yeah, it just seems like it's another instance of the CFL just, getting in its own way and just making a really poor decision. It just seems like MLSE just cares about money, and they don't care about their fan base whatsoever, because this is a perfect time that they could be taking their show on the road near them, play in some university stadiums. Hell, if they're going to use Hamilton Stadium, why can't they just play against other teams in Hamilton Stadium as the home team at least? I still don't like that, but at least then they're not, playing against the Tiger Cats with all the Tiger Cat fans, and it's being a home game. In Saskatchewan, I'm going to be honest. I'm here for another regular season game in Saskatchewan that I get to attend. I'm here for the preseason game going to Saskatoon. That's cool. But only because I get to hopefully hear my good buddy Adam be the PA announcer for that home game, because I want to hear that. That would be amazing. But for Argos fans, this just sucks. Like I said, you have university stadiums around there. You could build a little bit of temporary bleachers. Hell, Amar Doman is going to be building a 17,000 seat stadium apparently in BC. So MLSE has a lot of money. They could be doing anything they wanted here, and they've had time to make a plan. It seems like the Argos are just like, oh, screw it, we'll just do this. And BC's like, let's actually take care of our fans here and grow our game. So frustrating. I understand all of the feelings of the Argo fans, and it's not too late to fix this. I don't think the CFL schedule hasn't come out yet. There's been a lot of backlash. I hope maybe they can, but it's just egg on the face of MLSE, and just I feel sorry for Argo fans.
The way it's going right now, I do wonder if there's going to be a different solution than what has been proposed. Like you said, there are several other stadiums in the area. Even if it was at reduced capacity, I do think Argo fans would appreciate that. Heck, another touchdown Atlantic, whatever.
They could have 3.
Yeah. Yeah. They had years to get ready for this, man. And this is the solution, and this is the card, the hand that the Argo fans have been currently dealt. And, man, they take a lot of flack. They get mocked around the country for the attendance issues. But they also get treated like garbage, not only by other fans, but by their own owner, which is actually a wild situation. So this, like, I don't know if MLSE wants out of the business, but it definitely does not help raise the value to get a good, a good price for your team. You'd think you'd like to increase attendance before getting out of it. So the whole situation is pretty wild right now. I don't even know what to say to Argos fans. I do think that, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to be taking in the revenue from those games in Hamilton, Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg, right? So
I would hope so. The only really other circumstance I can remember is the first year the RedBlacks came back. Their stadium wasn't quite ready yet, I believe, and the RedBlacks played their home preseason game in Saskatchewan, and it was at Taylor Field, and I remember it looked like an Ottawa home game other than the crowd, and I believe they did get the revenue for that. So that's why I think it just makes sense that MLSE is just looking for the money here, because they know that in Winnipeg and in Saskatchewan they're going to get really good, and in Hamilton they're going to get a good gate, and maybe they're looking at this as a way just to get a little bit more money in their account, and just saying screw the fans.
What would be cool is if this would never happen. I realize that if fans in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan cheered for the Argos and actually let them here Argos, or maybe I don't know, allow them to pump in crowd noise, something like that. I don't know.
Well, when the news first dropped, I actually got a text from my buddy Matt, and he said the Argos are going to play BC in Mosaic Stadium. And when I first heard that, I was like, well, that's kind of silly, but that actually makes sense. Like, it's a neutral site game. There's no skin in the game for the local fans. And I was like, that'd be cool to have a neutral site game in Regina. Like, I would go watch it. I would cheer for both teams. Like, so if they were doing something like that, at least that's why I said at the beginning, like, maybe they could play, Toronto hosting Ottawa in Hamilton or something like that. Like, I think that would make more sense to me, where you have a full stadium. You could, hope that you could get enough fans, and hell, I'm sure there would be lots of Hamilton fans that would just go to that game just to cheer against the Argos, I guess. But it just seems like this is so short-sighted, and they just didn't give a crap to even make a plan.
So since we're live on YouTube, it's nice to be able to engage with Two and Out Nation. Austin checking in, actually from Whitehorse today, normally in Calgary. He's number 1 in the country on CFL Pick'em, so he went 4 for 4 this week. He's proud of that. Edward, thanks for tuning in. SW, he won his 4-game parlay this week. Winner, chicken licking dinner, he says. That's finger licking good, brother. You might be able to do the holy trinity of chicken sandwiches. The Colonel, Popeyes, and Mary Brown's all in one sitting. And then Sir Douglas of Argos Fancast fame, he does have his own YouTube channel as well. He says they don't call it MLSE for nothing. The $sign replacing the S. And then he says, as far as he knows, FIFA takes possession of BC Place and BMO Field in March. And says, this reminds me of 2015 all over again, when, the Argos basically were homeless. So those fans put up with a lot, man. So, I get it. The World Cup is basically the second biggest sporting event on the planet other than the Olympics, right? The whole world is tuned in. I know that. But it is tough what the fans have to go through. And I don't know, can the Argo fans and the Double Blue unite in anger? It's funny, to protest your owner, you saw what happened in the Major League Baseball with the Oakland Athletics. The fans just stopped coming. But it's the opposite in Toronto. To stick it to your owner, we're gonna come to the games. We live in a wild world, man.
We sure do. And just going back, SW, great job on your 4-game parlay. I did horrible in my betting this week because I took a bunch of long shots to try to make some money, and I bet for the Ticats to win just so that I wouldn't be sad if they did. Shout out to Corey. We had a bet this week for the game, which we will recap soon, and I can't wait to hear green is the color and see that watermelon on the head.
I was definitely hoping that we'd have the video in time for 2 and Out After Dark. I think it would be perfect to show, but there's a process to hollowing out a watermelon, man, and I respect it. It does take time. And I believe he will be a man of his word and pay up that bet. You were ready to do the whole Oski yell, weren't you?
I was practicing it in my head. I was trying to, I'm not going to do it now though, but I will do it someday. But we are also giving him until after Labor Day because he didn't want to wear we agreed that he wouldn't have to wear a watermelon helmet to the Labor Day game. So he's got some time to finish.
You're way too nice. I think if you're going to make a bet,
I am nice, and I just catch strays on Twitter all day by people.
We have a betting history on this show. I sat in the room with one Brazilian Thai as he got the Brazilian, so I verify bets on this show. I make sure they do happen. Sir Douglas does say there is a grassroots talk among supporters right now, starting with a letter or an email writing campaign to ownership. It's going to be really interesting to see where this all goes. Sheldon, let's talk about the Week 11 games. Should we start on Thursday, or should we start with what's fresh in our minds? We're just coming out of BC Place and the BC Lions beating the Alouettes. I kind of think we should start there.
Yeah, let's reverse order it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the BC Lions get a win here. It did start a little bit slower, but man, so the Saturday games weren't necessarily close games. Week 10, a point differential of 9 for all 4 games combined. And then the first 2 games of Week 11 were pretty close. Not the same for Saturday, but the physicality in the games, there's going to be a lot of players in the tub tomorrow, maybe even already tonight.
Yeah, there was lots of big hits. There was a couple or a few very questionable and upsetting hits, especially in this game here. But yeah, you could just tell that there was some good matchups. Just today we had the best team in the West versus the best team in the East, and then in the game that we're just about to recap here, BC was 4-5, Montreal was 5-4, and now they have the exact same record. And so, good matchups this week, but like you said, it wasn't quite as close as the week before.
And of course, the teams actually started off slow. I mean, the Elks still have talent on defense. They did go into the game with their technically their third string quarterback, Caleb Evans, getting the start at BC Place. So, obviously a tough assignment for him to get in there and try to get that offense rolling as the starting quarterback, Davis Alexander, remains out, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson was put on the 6-game injured list. Caleb Evans does get knocked out of this game. I wonder if MBT mysteriously gets some Wolverine healing power and comes off that 6-game injured list in an emergency basis. But the first touchdown of the game didn't come here until the second quarter, and that was Justin McInnis getting a 5-yard touchdown there. That put the Lions up 16-6. It was a really scrappy game. The Owls stayed in it as best as they could with just field goals. But we know that field goals aren't going to get the job done. That's the bottom line.
No, it seemed like the Alouettes, they were able to move the ball. It's just they weren't able to finish drives, and lucky for them, they have Maltos Diaz, who's been money this season. But yeah, like you said, when every drive until late in the fourth quarter is ending with a field goal or a punt or a turnover, you're not gonna win games.
Justin McInnis's first touchdown since week 1. He has 5 catches, 66 yards in this one, combined with last week with a 159-yard effort against the Ticats. It's good to see McInnis getting back onto the right side of things. Bit of a different season for him, but good to get him more involved in the offense. And of course, the Lions are having no problem getting the likes of Hatcher going and Barry Hill going and Katoy going and James Butler going. So we'll talk about those guys as we go through the game here. But it brings us to Micah Awe, number 3. CFL fans familiar with his style of play, always on the line. I see the comments on X. I don't think this is some of the worst play that we've seen by him. But man, this guy, the first one, he hits David Dallaire, and they did throw the flag. They did pick it up. He contacted him in the chest, but then a few plays later, he got a roughing the passer on Caleb Evans, and then later in the game, he gets a spearing penalty. So I guess he did take 30 yards of penalties at least in this one, hitting David Dallaire in the head later on. It looked like he was knocked out. But Micah Awe not making any friends on Saturday night, that's for sure.
No, number 3, 3 questionable hits. I actually really liked him when he was on the panel that one week that they had the bye week. I thought he was very insightful, and I think he's very well spoken. He's obviously a very smart person. I think he's like some sort of engineer or something, and he doesn't need to be playing football. He could be, making more money probably in a shoot job, but he's become like he has the label of like probably the dirtiest player in the league right now, and stuff like this is not going to help his case. And like I have to say how ridiculous that this rule is. So they instituted last season the misconduct. If you get 2 misconducts in a game, you become disqualified. And I'm okay with that, but it seems ridiculous to me that a guy could get 2 penalties for saying something, or a little shove after the whistle, and the refs are just going to call misconducts to try to quiet or to settle the teams down and stuff like that. But you can also have a guy who has a roughing the passer penalty and a spearing penalty in the same game, and he's not kicked out. I think they have to, you have to make it make sense. If you're going to get 2 major penalties in the game, regardless of what it is, maybe that's a thing you got to do to deter these things. Because obviously, if he's gonna keep hitting like this, he's obviously playing at 110 kilometers an hour, and that's fine as long as you play like within the rules, within the whistles, within the target zones that you're supposed to hit as a player. We don't need any more Kyrie Bears or other players that I can't remember right now because I'm just rattled about Micah Awe. Like, I was sitting in a bar watching the game, and I send you a text, Micah Awe, flag, and a pretends to be shocked gif, and that was the one that actually got picked up. But it's just it's become too much, and he needs to have some sort of repercussion to make it think twice when all these opportunities come for him to just knock people out.
Caleb Evans did get injured at the beginning of the second quarter. Now it was just an innocent thing.
With that. Yeah.
Sahoni Tehama just kind of gets tied up with him, and he hurts his knee. And I think Evans previously had a knee injury. It's tough to see these guys. Sometimes they're sitting on the sideline not knowing if they're going to see the field again. So I hope the knee injury isn't too bad there. So that means that the Owls are down to now quarterback number 4 on the depth chart. James Morgan comes in, and you know what? I think he looked all right for the situation, and I'm assuming the lack of reps he's been seeing in practice. He probably had many during training camp, but hasn't seen much during the season, and he got the Alouettes into field goal range a couple times, and the Owls defense was still making it difficult for the Lions. Tyrese Beverette had an interception. He was like stride for stride with the receiver in the pick that number 26 had. And then near the end of the first half, it's 16-9 for BC, and they were looking to extend that lead. Justin McInnis has a big gain, puts him in field goal range, fumbles the ball. So the Owls defense still making things happen, trying to keep their team in it, but they go into the half down by a touchdown. And then the second half is really just when things fell apart for the Alouettes. Jose Maltos Diaz rings one off of the upright, I think from 16 yards out. And then the Lions just open up and really show their roar. And they said this on the broadcast. There was a moment in the fourth quarter where I think Rourke had 5 completions in a row, and 3 of them were for touchdowns. So at the beginning of the fourth quarter, the Lions get the ball and they hit Eberhardt for 49 yards. They end up hitting Keon Hatcher for 18 yards. And what a game for number 4, who is now the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League. Keon Hatcher, 11 catches, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He would have looked good on my fantasy lineup, but that's wishful thinking.
Bro, I don't even want to talk about fantasy.
Okay, what decade were you in? I was in the 80s.
I was in the swinging 60s.
Hey, and I had Drew Brown, and I still made the 80s. So
yeah, I'm okay. My jinxing picks worked, so I'm okay. My fantasy score sucking this week.
Oh, you really hedged your bets. You went all in against the Riders.
Well, I only had 3 people, but Bo Levi, Kenny Lawler, and Mr. $2,500 who deserves it now. But
Keandre Smith is going to be $1,500 next week.
And I'll probably take him. But I'm okay. 8-1, baby.
8-1 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think that about wraps it up here for this game. Yeah. Tyler Sneed, though, man, that face masking he took, I know it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And Tyler Sneed, he was still showing some fight out there for the Montreal Alouettes. Number 85 had 5 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. So good for him getting out there. It's basically, game 2 of a preseason roster for the Alouettes at this point. And it's tough. Just watch. They're going to get healthy at the right time and go on a run. Although, Ottawa couldn't take advantage of Winnipeg there, so they still might be able to hold on to a home playoff game. Currently, it actually could be these 2 teams in the East semifinal, the BC Lions and the Montreal Alouettes, and hopefully by that time, the Alouettes look a little bit different and a little bit healthier, and that could be a heck of a game.
Oh, it could be. But right now, Montreal is just falling. And, whatever, cushion they had between them and Ottawa. Like I realized that Ottawa wasn't able to get it done, but they're at least, kind of maybe trending up, and Montreal's trending down. So they're yeah, I think so. This is the third game that Davis has missed, so he's got at least another three before. And I don't think they're pulling him off early. They're going to really try to make sure he gets healthy. So it could even be more than 6 games. It'll just depend on his hamstring, but they need him back in a real way because, and it's not just him. They're missing other players, but once they can get him back and Philpott and Mac, they're a different team, right? And so they need that sooner than later, obviously, because, as you said, the defense was able to hold things down until the fourth quarter. But when you get tired, when you can't do anything offensively and your defense is on the field so often, it's just not going to work for you.
33,350 in attendance at Mosaic Stadium as the Riders sell it out for the visiting Ticats. It was to be a heavyweight battle, but a heavyweight battle that ended in about the third round. And the Riders winning 29-9 on a Saturday afternoon in Regina. Man, the whole family thing, and you could tell Trevor Harris, emotional. He was shedding some tears as his kids were, or his kid was announcing the starting lineup. They were doing the weather on CTV early in the week. Man, you could tell it hit home for him to have his kids in the stands for the family themed game at Mosaic Stadium.
Oh, for sure. And his kid nailed the introductions. Like he timed it out perfectly. He said the last name with the enthusiasm like the regular guy would do it. It was well done. I sent out a tweet saying the Riders need to sign him to a futures deals for whenever this guy retires. It was great. The family, I always love a family day game. The only thing it was missing was, maybe some mascot football, but that's okay because there was the Rider junior cheerleaders at halftime. Even though I missed that because we went and did a Saskatchewan picture. We can't let Edmonton have all the fun, so we had to, of course, try to do our own. So we got a nice picture that I put on the Tune Out Twitter. But yeah, 33,350. What is that thing that we keep saying about how you're going to bring people back to the stadium? Win your games. Win your games at home, especially. And people are going to come out to games, and it was great to see Mosaic Stadium packed again. Yeah, what a great, it was windy, it was kind of chilly. It wasn't the best weather. The wind was pretty crazy.
Tell me about the wind, because some of those flags looked pretty stiff in the wind, and then the uprights, sometimes they were going in two different directions on the same upright, the flags up there.
Yeah, the wind really swirls in the toilet bowl, as people call Mosaic Stadium.
So the first Labor Day game, I held the Canada flag during the anthem on the field, and it was pretty windy then.
Oh yeah.
And when the wind picks up and this flag is like 40 yards long, you gotta grip onto that thing. It's crazy down there.
Yeah. Not a great day for kickers. But it was a great day for football, and Mosaic was loud. It was fun. And yeah, we now have a clear number one at the top of my power rankings, kind of going forward.
Well, it's going to be decided next week again, right? Because some Stamps fans were in the comments. They just beat Winnipeg, and now they're going to have another heavyweight battle. They beat Saskatchewan, and now
for sure.
They're going to have another shot at them. So there we go.
But again, power rankings are not standings, and we have to remind people every single week. Power rankings is what happened the week of the game. You take into account a little bit, or I take into account a little bit before, but
I don't have anything against but we'll see who's number one after next Saturday. But that's all being said, that this is the toughest and most important stretch of the Riders' schedule. Ticats, Stamps, and 2 against the Bombers. So this was a big one to get under their belt against the Ticats. And then they probably want to win at least 2 out of the next 3. If they lose one of the next 3, or 2 of the next 3, that's probably not the best. But then we'll also see what they're made of, right?
Well, and it's crazy because like I was nervous about this game. I was nervous about last game in Montreal. I was nervous about the game against BC before that. Like, I think it's time to stop being nervous, Rider fans. I think honestly we can say that this team is for real because they have now played, I would say, 2 complete games in a row. They didn't let the other team come back. I think this was 2 games in a row, less than 10 points the defense has given up. And against 2, I get Montreal's wasn't fielding the best team in the game against them, but it's still super tough for a Western team to go into Montreal and walk out with a W. So super proud of the team. Things to work on for sure. They started really slow, but again, I think, like you said, this was a heavyweight fight, and these teams were kind of going shot for shot. I wouldn't say shot for shot, but they were going punch, counter punch in the first quarter, just feeling each other out. And Hamilton had, opportunities in the first to really kind of put this game away, but the Riders defense stood tall and only let them get field goals.
Nick adding in the chat that the Riders haven't given up touchdowns in the last 2 games. Doesn't matter who you're playing. This is the CFL. It does favor the offense, and no touchdowns in the last 2 games. Meow Mix asking if we believe that the wind affected Lothar's kicks. Absolutely, they did. However, I'll just note that Mark Leggio went 3 for 3, and it's Lothar's home stadium. But he did miss 3, and he has had his shares of struggles this year. So that's still tough to see. The wind helped him kick a 59-yarder, so you would have think maybe the shorter kicks would have been able to sail through in the right place.
Well, yeah, and Leggio hit basically the same field goal that Lowther missed going into the wind. Leggio hit that one, and I sent out a tweet about this. Like, I love Brett Lowther. I think he's a great person. He's a great CFLPA member. He's great in the community. I have his jersey. He's my kicker, but I don't know if he should be the Riders kicker anymore. This is a professional football, and he has a 66% field goal accuracy right now. The Riders are 8-1. They haven't lost any games necessarily because of Brett Lowther. The only game they lost, they just got, run over by the Calgary Stampeders. But as we get closer to the end of the season and when it cools down and we get to the playoffs, you need a field goal kicker you can rely on to make, a 45-yard kick, a 50-yard kick. And I know he hit a 59-yard today, and I thought that was going to really, give him some confidence and he could get back onto a run or whatever. But man, when you miss the field goals, especially that one, and I get, again, it's windy. It's got to be tough to kick that. But what was that first one? 20 yards? 6? I can't remember. And it was just, the wind is not going to affect that much in 20 yards. Of course, when you're kicking the longer ones, and we saw some kickoffs where the wind totally killed it, and the other team was able to have instant field position. But the Riders have to bring in somebody to at least give him some competition. I saw a tweet from Hodge from the 3 Down Nation, and he suggested that the Riders maybe try to trade for Liram Haralahu or somebody, and that would be quite interesting. And I would say the Riders have too many good receivers right now. You have Sam Emilus, who's injured right now, and I'm not saying to trade Sam Emilus, but you have Keon Schaffer-Baker and you have Sean Bain. All 3 of them are not in the lineup right now, and Dante Myers Keyshawn Johnson, Joe Robustelli, uh, even Dale Duncan Busby. He hasn't been catching as many balls, but he's been doing really good at blocking, I think. You got Neal back in there. Neal got a touchdown today. Like they have so many receivers, so maybe that's what you do. You trade a Keon Schaefer Baker, you trade a Sean Bain Jr. Maybe try to get a kicker, but I don't see another team just trading away their kicker. But
Well, you
they
could
have to do
pull an
something.
Edmonton and trade Trevor Harris for a kicker.
You could.
That's the oldest joke in the book. I am sorry, Edmonton fans, but yeah, he didn't have a good year last year, but Boris Beatty had a good year 2 years ago in Toronto, and I don't know what he's doing right now. He might be doing nothing. Maybe he wants
I
to
saw
kick a football.
Chris Milo answered Hodges' tweet, and I'd rather have Chris Milo than Boris. Like, but for real,
Taylor says if you have too many good receivers, send a couple Edmonton's way, and that's my my beautiful wife suggesting that. And hey, maybe the Elks could use. So the trade deadline in October, maybe trade one of them like after the Riders play them, because we know how that could go.
yeah, maybe, but I'm not. I don't know if I want Edmonton's kicker Taylor. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So what shocked me about this game was actually Hamilton's game plan. They looked like they came into it wanting to match Saskatchewan's physicality on defense by running the ball at them. And actually, early in the game, they were having success running too. Like Greg Bell actually had a pretty good game. He was having 5.5 yards a carry. Most running backs aren't doing that against the Riders in 2025. He also had 5 catches for 52 yards. But then as the Ticats weren't able to finish drives, and then the Rider D-line no longer had to guess, and all they had to do was pin their ears back and get after Bo, and they were hitting Bo, making him extremely uncomfortable. It was a different game plan that I was expecting from the Ticats.
Yeah, the one thing that Saskatchewan's defense has been very susceptible to this year is kind of, letting a lot of passing yards. And so when you have Bo Levi and he's the gunslinger that he is, I was kind of quite shocked about that too. But early on, like I said, the Hamilton got that big Saskatchewan had a pass interference penalty on Kenny Lawler, and they got instant field position, and I'm just sitting in the crowd and I'm like, oh, here we go. This is what Bo Levi does. He punishes teams for taking penalties, and the Riders were able to stuff him. And I just think that, again, this is just another reason why it's time to maybe let the Rider fan PTSD go a little bit and just, enjoy that you have an elite team to cheer for if you're a Rider fan.
Embrace the I don't know. I'm too shell-shocked, man.
But, no, I know. I'm saying this and I'm still like, oh, we're going to lose by 20 next week to Calgary. Like,
yeah.
But I just think that Corey Mace really has these guys locked in, and I think that they're playing for each other. They're playing for him. I even like every player still went up to Brett Lowther after every miss, and they weren't looking like they were upset at him. They were looking at it like they were trying to encourage him to get it together. So, I think that this team they're like family, and I think they're special. 2013 was special. After 9 games, 8-1 2013, 8-1 2025. Second year head coach Corey Mace, second year head coach Corey Chamberlain.
So does this
That's where it
mean
ends.
that after 2013 it's not good?
Yeah, I'm not ready for the fall to happen as quickly as it did in 2013, but
oh man.
I think there's a big difference between Corey Mace and Corey Chamberlain.
And those 2013 Riders, didn't they have a bit of a skid in September,
Oh,
October
for sure.
too?
They did, yeah.
I do think like I think the Riders should do their best to avoid that 16-2 record, because right now that's what they're on pace for. And those 16-2 teams, they've all ended in heartbreak. So maybe
I'll take 15-3.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Okay. Wayne saying the Riders definitely number one in the CFL right now, saying the next few games should be good. Man, a sold-out Labor Day game, a sold-out Banjo Bowl. Let's go. That's what is all about. So this game was actually pretty slow starting, actually, until Trevor Harris hit Dante Myers for a 58-yard touchdown in the second quarter.
He was wide open.
Yeah, and that was right after he or a few series after he got intercepted by the Ticats. So good to see your quarterback recover there. And then the actual, I mean, the Ticats, they didn't really get much going.
Anything. No.
And it was rough to see. Bo was taking hits. Like, you don't want the old guy taking hits like that. Did you? I don't know if you probably didn't see this. Micah Johnson. They celebrated a sack. Number 4, Micah Johnson doing a handstand on the sideline.
That's crazy. How did his hands not snap due to the sheer size of the Hulk? Like, I'd never seen the Hulk do a handstand, but I'm sure he probably could. Like,
so that D line, they're rolling when Micah's doing handstands on the sideline. So this is now 2 losses in a row for the Ticats. Are they just a streaky team? I know that one against BC that was tough, and it was an overtime game, but everything they've done so far, 2 losses, 6 wins, 2 losses. I'm sure Ticat fans would appreciate some stability.
well, stability, and then I'll give shout out to Corey next week too. But they do go into the bye, so this is probably the best time for them to go into a bye after a loss, and they can understand that they're playing the best team in the West, and it was a good measuring stick for them, and obviously it didn't work out the way that they wanted to, but hopefully missing Stavros Kasantonis, missing Peters, I think was also out, so when you have those 2 all-star caliber players not playing, that certainly doesn't help your situation, and hopefully for Tiger Cat fans, they can get healthy and get back in, and because their next game here, like I said, it's Labor Day against Toronto, and that's a big game for them, right? So we'll have to see how that goes.
Last couple years, I don't think it went too well for the Ticats on Labor Day, so those fans are going to be pretty hungry for a Labor Day victory there. There's one team that they really don't want to lose to, and that would be the team that wears double blue. But yeah, like Trevor Harris threw some beautiful balls in this one. That touchdown to Tommy Neild was wild. Keyshawn Johnson was, he had some great catches in this one. It's all about it's keeping number 7 healthy, right? Now, I know things, as the weather gets colder, AJ Ouellette's already got a lot of carries under his belt. They are running the ball effectively here. And you can't 100% rely on the defense, but it does feel like Trevor Harris is a bit of a man of destiny, but he also looks a little bit loose. Like he doesn't look like he's wearing the weight of the world on his shoulders. Maybe he's making it his mission to not and to look nice, cool, and calm out there. But it does remind me of Bo a little bit. I know this game was rough, but guys, that have been in the league for a long, long time, maybe they would have been feeling the pressure a little bit more 5-6 years ago, but now they look pretty comfortable in their skin. And Trevor Harris, I don't know if he would have been ready for the pressure that being the rider quarterback in the fishbowl means, but it looks like he's sure handling it well now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, he's another big part of this family mentality with the team. I think he's really good when it comes to getting the players together. I know we saw last year, they haven't really talked about this year on TV, but last year they had a feature on him and how he had handshakes with every single player on the team and different no different names, actually that's what's different nicknames that he called everybody. And I just think he's just being that leader that the team needs. And we have Corey Mace, who's the head coach, but I think Trevor Harris is just one of those another kind of player head coach on the team, just building the players up and not letting the adversity take too much. They're a big let's go 1-0 this week team, and they like to flush the bad things out. And just lucky for them and for Rider fans, there hasn't been that much bad this year. He had another game where he over 70%, so he's at keeping that streak going of his CFL record he has. And there was one play where he just had a little bit too much on that ball. He had AJ Ouellette up the middle, and if AJ would have got that, I think AJ would have probably been gone. So you could add another 70 or so yards to his total there. And later in the game, I know that they were driving, and Hamilton sent a couple blitzes, and it was getting like he hit, I think it was Myers. He hit Myers, and he kind of got down to close to the green zone, and Mace pulled him. You could tell they pulled him because Hamilton was playing pretty aggressive on defense, and it was absolutely the right call. But man, you could tell he did not want it. He wanted to finish that drive, and I love that about him. He's a gamer. He wants to win. He wants to perform, and even putting his body on the line when he knows he shouldn't still be out there. The game was out of reach, and but it was kind of funny to see just how rattled he was.
You saw me laughing off camera here. Douglas saying Corey Chamberlain was a hack, the only coach I wanted fired out of a cannon after game 1 of a season. And Nick asks if you've ever seen Hulk and Micah Johnson in the same room.
Never. And I wouldn't know. Like I would, it'd be like the Spider-Man pointing meme, but it would be the Hulks.
Hey, congrats to Roland Milligan Jr. getting a interception on his birthday. The team singing him happy birthday following that interception. And then if you look at the Cats, the King was the leading receiver. 3 catches, 62 yards. Bo got sacked 6 times in this one. Yeah, just a rough day at the office. Trevor Harris, 21-27, 307 yards, 3 TDs, and an interception there. Leading receiver for the Riders was Keyshawn Johnson, 8 catches, 117 yards. We go to Friday Night Football in Edmonton, where the Elks are now winners of 2 straight, beating the Argos 28-20. Man, this game, it felt like October out there, and it felt good. Look, I started getting the shivers a little bit in the 4th quarter, but I enjoyed every second of it because the previous game, you'll remember how much sweat. Like I could wring out my underwear. Like it was that bad.
Yeah.
This one, no sweat to be found. I felt great. And I don't know what it is. It felt like the energy was brought by the Elks fans in attendance. Not going to ignore the attendance issues, but the ones that were there definitely brought the energy. They were loud, and they got themselves another win. So good for the Edmonton Elks. Good for Cody Fajardo getting another win there. But I kind of thought that this game was going to be a little bit more of a shootout, if I'm being honest. However, the Elks defense, they made plays here that they really needed to make, and they made it when it counted. at the end there. I haven't watched the broadcast. I only watched it live in person. But your thoughts on Edmonton getting themselves another win? I know it's 2 in a row, one against the Alouettes, one here against the Argos, who definitely have a struggling defense, at least.
Yeah, this is just another situation of if they don't ask how, they ask how many. The Elks needed to get another win, especially at home. Like you said, the crowd, it came off on TV. It sounded loud. It sounded like the fans were in it, and winning at home is going to just keep, hopefully getting more people talking about the Elks and getting out to a game there. So it was good to see. You know, Nick Arbuckle played pretty good, so it's not like you can say that they didn't play a starting quarterback. He played pretty good. It's just they had issues. Both teams, I guess, had kind of issues finishing drives at times. But you want to talk about a player that Edmonton just needs to market the hell of, and that's Rankin. Justin Rankin is like, other than another player in this game that we'll talk about on defense, Justin Rankin is becoming one of my favorite players in the league. Just he has a motor. He doesn't quit. Literally, his score in fantasy almost beat my score for the whole team in fantasy. And you're welcome, Andrew, for the win this week.
Did he take him as captain, or?
No, he had 56 points, like without being a captain, I'm pretty sure.
No, he had to be a captain.
Okay, so maybe as a captain then. Okay, so maybe
But
still as a captain, so good play by Andrew there. But like, again, we say we beat the dead horse, the marketing, but Rankin is the type of player you want to market there. I know the Turf District has had him on. They've interviewed him, and he just seems like a really down to earth guy. But when he's playing football, he's running 100 miles an hour, and But the thing is, he's in this game. They actually did utilize him as a running back too, but he's been doing most of his damage, as a receiver. And when you have a player like that, you need to kind of center your offense around him, because you can do so many different things. And then once you get those big plays, you use him as a decoy, and you can find Curly Gittens Jr. You can find Dunbar. Like you can get these big plays, and I think for Elks fans, Cody Fajardo is that better choice right now to be able to find those guys. So things are looking up in Edmonton. I know it would take quite a big case of events for them to get back into the playoff picture here right now. But if you're an Elk fan, I hope that you're watching this team, you're seeing improvements and understanding that it's a rookie head coach. It's kind of a little bit of a soft rebuild, and hopefully with all these star players that they were able to kind of bring together next year, can kind of have that chemistry and camaraderie and stuff that you're seeing in Saskatchewan in year two.
Yeah, Rankin had 13 carries, 92 yards, so about 7 yards a carry there, touchdown on the ground, and he had 5 catches for 87 yards. So he was definitely a problem for the Argos. And yeah, Nick Arbuckle, not the problem, for sure. 30 of 42, 382 yards, and a touchdown for Nick Arbuckle. But a team that ran the ball very effectively in their Grey Cup wins over the past couple of years. Not going to get done with 4 carries and 12 yards for your starting running back, Deontay McMahon. That is rough, and I know the quarterback was moving the ball, but to have that output from your starting running back, that's pretty tough in this one. There were still moments where the Elks defense was like almost getting home, and Arbuckle was still making plays. The Elks defense wasn't really able to finish those moments until later in the game when it really counted. But Wynton McManus, like, if the Argos could have 3 or 4 of him on defense, they would never lose. This guy's an absolute warrior. He gets an interception in this one. He was down on the field. I think he's been dealing with a knee issue like all year. But he's back out there again. When he got hurt, he walks off the field, and him and Rankin were talking. They were talking a lot in this one. Again, if you could, clone McManus, he probably would have been able to stop guys or stop Rankin from getting all those yards in this game. But I love that guy, and it's tough to see the defense that he's playing on. But I love Derek Sluka too. If I can win this Patron League, I was telling you I might get myself a Sluka jersey. But it was an entertaining game on Friday night. The first half was a little bit slower. 13-10 Edmonton, and right at the end of the half. So we'll see. Rankin is the one that gets the touchdown to put the Elks up late in the half. Now that we're doing the games in reverse, I thought we were going to get a moment that we got at the end of the Winnipeg-Ottawa game. We'll talk about that. But Blanchard misses a 52-yard field goal for the Elks. It would have put them up 6. Well, Janarian Grant returns that thing 64 yards, so past midfield. Oh, that could have changed everything, man. That could have really... really screwed over the Elks and changed momentum in a big way.
Yeah, I was sitting at home and I honestly thought that he was going to go all the way, and I was just like, wow, this is just like the night before, and unfortunate for the Argos, no time on the clock in the half there, but yeah, like you said, Derek Sluka, that's the other guy I was talking about before that's becoming one of my favorite players in the league. I know Brazilian Ty, my predecessor, had Taylor Lautner that he was he loved, and on defense, Derek Sluka is definitely becoming a favorite of mine. What a rookie year he's having, and with Alfred being hurt, and we don't know how long that's going to be. Hopefully he's back soon. I think those are kind of the front runners right now for Rookie of the Year. So hopefully he can get back and keep performing. Maybe not next week. Week after maybe. But great to see these rookies kind of popping off.
I do like this comment from Douglas. He says the Argos should just dress 2 more linemen next game as opposed to dressing running backs if you're just going to throw it as much as they do. Hey, might as well. And another guy, how about Jake Herslow? Hurdling Herslow. Oh, yeah. And he actually tried to hurdle in this one. Not quite.
Not quite as graceful.
But in the third quarter, Arbuckle engineers that 8-play, 77-yard drive, ending in a touchdown for Herslow. Another great game for number 87 there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are positives to talk about with the Argos, and the Argos did hold that lead for most of the third quarter, but then where it all changed was Nick Arbuckle gets sacked by Brandon Barlow, right? And then Robbie Smith, the former Argo, the 2022 Grey Cup hero, recovers that fumble. You know that the former Argos on the Elks were really happy about that one. That gives the Elks the ball going into the fourth quarter. Stephen Dunbar Jr. Scores a touchdown there, and the Elks take a 24-17 lead there when I guess they got the single point on the ensuing kickoff. But the Argos stayed in it 24-20, and the Elks got the chance in the fourth quarter to take an 8-point lead. It's 25-20. Blanchard misses the field goal. This is absolute craziness. Then he gets the chance to kick it again. So they go up 28-20. Well, the Argos have the ball with a minute left, and they get the ball on their own 34-yard line. Deshaun Brissett, a 33-yard play. And then Man, there was a moment here where DeMonte Coxey gets hurt. And earlier in the game, they were going to call an unnecessary roughness on hitting a defenseless receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Did this on TV look to you like it did to me in the stands, that this
Brutal.
was sort of a defenseless receiver thing? And I don't think there was a call on it.
No, it looked brutal. And the reason why it wasn't called, and same with the first one, is the contact was made just above the knee, which
Oh, wow.
I get it that it says in the rule that they amended this year that it has to be below the knee, but like when you're a defensive player is a defensive, like if you're still taking him out of the thigh, like and with the momentum that you have, and they're not able to protect themselves and they're not able to brace for it, like you can still, like if a foot is planted, you hit somebody at the thigh, you could still blow out their knee, you could still break their leg. Like I hated seeing that hit on Coxey because there's nothing he could do to even try to brace for that. And uh we talk about player safety, and we need to be smart about player safety. We need to understand that, and I don't want a bunch of extra penalties. That's not what I'm saying. I want, call a couple of these every now and then to remind the players, don't do this crap, because, you know, it's just, I don't want to lose star players to broken legs and wrecked knees just because, the defender hit them just above the knee. Like we gotta take that stuff out of the game.
Yeah, that was rough to see. He was clearly knocked out cold down on the field. Man, there was almost a fight in the stands. Like some guy yelled, "Get off the field," and then some other Elks fan stood up, and I thought they were gonna tussle.
Wow.
So it was cool to see another Edmonton fan put that jackass in his place. Those things always happen at football games, and everybody's drunk trying to be cool. I get it. But
I mean, or is it just Edmonton? Because on the internet, I just see fighting in the stands in Edmonton.
hey, I haven't seen an Elks fan throw a jersey on the field.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I haven't.
But I'm talking fights at the weekend concert in the Commonwealth.
Oh, really?
I'm talking fights at Oiler games and like. It just
Maybe
seems
it is an
Edmonton,
Edmonton
like
game.
Edmonton, you guys used to be the city of champions. Maybe you just need to become the city of friendship, and so we're not fighting all the time. Or just keep fighting. Because
Have you seen my Twitter replies, man? There ain't no friendship out there.
Believe me, I was having my fun on Twitter with a certain person too, with some drive-bys and stuff like that. So yeah, I know, sadly.
Okay, so here we go. It's 3rd and 10. Edmonton's 32-yard line. Nick Arbuckle, incomplete pass to Jake Herslow, but there's a flag. Pass interference. And Mark Killam is this close to not throwing the challenge flag. He put it back in his pocket, and then it looked like, well, there's 30 seconds left, whatever. Throws the flag, and good thing he did for Edmonton's sake, because they overturn the play. They take back the pass interference, and Edmonton wins the game. I don't know if I've seen anything like. Normally, you challenge for the pass interference. Very rarely do they take it back, and this time they did. That's a wild finish to the Friday night game in Edmonton.
It was, and I, honestly, I don't think there was enough to make a penalty at that point of the game. I understand maybe from the way that the refs saw it that it looked more like pass interference, but again, like we talked about this before, the refs have been doing a good job. Like and they work hard for the limited amount of time that they're there, and I get that, but we need to be able to define what pass interference is when it comes to reviews, when it comes to calling on the field, because it's so inconsistent. There was a, we didn't talk about it, but and I was kind of getting a drink at this time, so I don't really know I don't know everything, but I know that Milanovic challenged a pass interference, or no, he challenged a roughing the pass. Never mind. But it just there's issues where we don't think it should be pass interference. It's called pass interference, and then there's instances when it should be called pass interference and they're not calling it. So like it's just I want less challenges. I want more consistency when it comes to these calls. So hopefully that's something that they can work on with trying to, and I know it's a judgment call and I know it's quick and I know these guys have to react, but like it just sometimes it seems like it's really ticky-tack that are getting called and other times, it's not getting called properly. So that's just one thing that I'm kind of sensing online that is frustrating a lot of fans.
So the Elks are getting ready to play the 3-7 Ottawa RedBlacks as the Toronto Argonauts getting ready to host Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions. Can you say Fantasy City for the BC Lions offense? I'm just saying. Those 3-7 Ottawa RedBlacks fell to that record because the 5-4 Winnipeg Blue Bombers beat them 30-27. But again, Sheldon, this is the second week in a row where the Bombers have a 17-0 lead and let it melt away and nearly lose the game. I know they won, and we try not to criticize wins as best we can. Calgary got it done, and they came back and won. That has to be concerning for the blue and gold because they are a team, I think, in the last 5 years, where their bread and butter was like the halftime adjustment, and then in the fourth quarter, really shutting teams down. It really seems the opposite is currently happening.
Yeah, it's very strange, and it's been the second halves have been just the Brady Oliveira show, just running the ball and taking away the time of possession, and he got 10 carries this game, which that's not a lot for typical Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but I guess they have a different offense this year. But before we talk about this, though, I have to say how amazing. So I was actually watching I was at the Regina Red Sox against your Sylvan Lake Gulls game one of the
Hang
final.
on to your hot dogs. The Gulls are coming.
Yeah.
Oh, and also wear an umbrella. The Gulls are coming.
Yeah.
Or hold an umbrella.
And I don't know. Maybe while I'm telling the story, you can look up because game 3 was tonight, so I don't know who won because they tied. The Red Sox won game 2, so I don't know who won. However, I was sitting there and I was kind of paying attention.
Just wait. The Regina Red Sox have a 6-run 9th inning to beat the Gulls in Sylvan Lake. Oh no, wow. That was only game 2. That forces game 3.
I thought game 3 was today. No.
I wonder if game 2. Okay, keep talking. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So, no, that's good. So I was sitting at the game. Great night for baseball in Regina. It got pretty cool, and yeah, it got to extra 12 innings, which is a long night. Anywho, so I'm sitting there, and I had a pretty interesting bet. It was a parlay, and it was one that it was a long shot. It had great odds, or not great odds, so it was good payout. So I needed the Bombers to win. Or no, sorry. I needed the RedBlacks to cover the 4.5 points. I needed the over to hit, and there's one other thing that happened. I can't remember what it was, but the first thing happened, but it was looking like the over was not going to hit because this game was pretty low scoring, at least for Ottawa's sake at the time. And then I'm watching the game on my phone when the end of the game happens for the over to hit, and then tie game, and I knew there was really only time for a field goal, and then so Ottawa technically won, so I won the bet, but it was like such a backdoor cover that was incredible, and it was amazing. So thank you,
You,
Mr. Pimpleton.
from a
I become
guy,
such a degenerate.
I was just going to say, from a guy that like never bet, now you're on that dark road to selling me your truck to cover a gambling debt.
No. See, I'm playing on house money right now. I put a $10 deposit in. I won my first bet, and I've won a few. I did not win today's bet, and I did not win yesterday's bet. However, I still have $68 up in my Bet 365 account. Once that gets to zero, I'm only putting another $10 in to start
Okay.
again.
Okay.
We're good.
All
I'm
right.
not
All right.
I'm not going down. I ain't gonna be, Tyrone Biggums or anything trying to get some money for gambling here. So
Okay. The Western Canadian Baseball League final is happening right now. The updates are really slow. Game 3 in Sylvan Lake. After 7 innings, the Regina Red Sox leading 5-4. But that's 29 minutes ago. So I
yeah,
do not know what's currently happening. There might be a
quite the
live
long
stream
eighth
somewhere.
inning.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody is probably having a champagne shower right now. I just don't know who. But I thought Zach, he looked good in this one until the end. Looked decent, 24 of 34. There were 2 interceptions. There was a touchdown there. Brady Oliveira, 10 carries, 35 yards. So the Red Blacks were being hard on him for sure. And he had 4 catches for 29 yards. So, however, Brady does get his first touchdown of the season, which is crazy to say in week 11. Finally
Is
getting
it?
a touchdown there. Well, I
Is it
guess.
crazy? You got it like in game 13 or 14 last
Yeah,
year, I
I
think.
guess. And then Nick Dembski, the leading receiver for the Bombers, 6 catches, 128 yards. But what a great, I would say, season for Jarreth Stearns in Winnipeg. 4 catches, 50 yards in this one. The lone receiving touchdown for the Bombers. He has been a great addition to that receiving core, looking like, at times, an old 89 in blue and gold that's now in Hamilton. Stearns has been playing great.
Oh yeah, he's been playing awesome. I really liked him in Saskatchewan. Just had some injury issues and that. So he's just that type of like I compare him to like kind of Weston Dressler, where he's just small but he's fast and he's able to make those tough catches. And yeah, so it's really good to see him having success.
And then, much like Hamilton's game plan surprised me, and the way that they tried to run at Saskatchewan in this one, I expected Ottawa to try and test that Winnipeg secondary a little more effectively here. There's a couple rookies in this one, and with the receiving talent they've got in Justin Hardy and also Geno Lewis early in this one, they weren't taking the shots that I thought they would, and they weren't able to take advantage of that. And of course, Winnipeg's able to mix it up, and their D line is able to cause some problems as well. And Drew Brown ends up getting hurt in this one. And I saw my fantasy week melt away. But just to think about the guy who gets hurt again, I hope it's not serious. But he took a risk there. Because at the beginning of the third quarter, second half, Ottawa's down 20-3. And the RedBlacks go on this mammoth drive. 14 plays, 76 yards in this one. And then Drew Brown pulls off this miraculous play. It looked like he should have been sacked 3 times. He ends up hitting William Stanback, gets down to the 4-yard line on the play, but he paid the price. And he did have to leave the game in this one. So Dustin Crum finishes the drive, gets into the end zone with a rushing touchdown. But at that point, man, Tough to see Drew Brown knocked out of another game. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, I think, in his time in Ottawa.
For sure. But he's shown that he's like a gamer and he's willing to put his body on the line. And I think you do want that in a quarterback, but you also want the the quarterback to maybe take it a little easy and try to get away from that. But uh, it was good on Drew or Dustin Crum to be able to kind of orchestrate this little comeback that they had in the fourth quarter, though.
And it's a final in Sylvan Lake. The Regina Red Sox, WCBL champs. A
Let's go.
5-4 victory for the Red Sox. So congrats, buddy. Congrats.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I went to 2 games this year.
Hey, one of them was in the final, so
That's right.
that totally counts. But hey, once the RedBlacks, I guess the only thing you can knock off that drive is that they killed 8 minutes off the clock, and they needed more time.
Yeah.
To start to get back into the game. But they just chipped away at it. And I was thinking, are we seeing another Crum back here? He's actually looking, I think, pretty good. He doesn't have the best win-loss record, but he's physical. He's a warrior.
Oh, yeah.
You got to fight to get Dustin Crum down. He's definitely comfortable working with those receivers in there, and they slowly chip away to the point where Justin Hardy gets a touchdown, and the Bombers are up 27-20. Less than 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then the Bombers, thinking that, hey, Sergio Castillo is money, past the 50-yard line for field goals, 57 yards out, misses it. Khalil Pimpleton takes it 117 yards to the house. Sheldon wins money. It's a tie game, 27-27, and I'm thinking, I picked Ottawa. This is gonna be my week. My wife Taylor says we might see some classic Zach. He's gonna throw an interception here. He throws an interception, and I'm thinking Ottawa's gonna do it. And then some of the worst play calling I think I've ever seen from the RedBlacks. I know they were on their own 20. And that incomplete to Braylon Addison, obviously we're talking different if he completes the pass. I know he only got 2 downs. And then the next one, it's a 7-yard rush to Daniel Adeboboye. But if maybe they start with that 7-yard rush to Adeboboye, 2nd and 3 is a little bit of a different story. Like what were you thinking on the play calling there? Take your bet off the table. You can't have a 2-and-out in that situation.
No, and Ottawa fans were just losing their mind online. I saw, and like you said, I don't know if they were just trying to be cute and trying to catch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers off guard with that second down run, but you can't let that happen. You're a team that is struggling, and you see another team in the East struggling as well, and you might be able to bridge that gap when it comes to a playoff position, and you do that. Everything in the world goes right for you. Kick return touchdown, interception by Zach. You have it's like momentum is just on your side, and you just piss it all away like that. That's got to be so frustrating. And as soon as that happened, I knew that Winnipeg was going to get that field goal. But going back to that field goal, that missed field goal by Sergio, it was 3rd and 1, and you have Chris Strevler. Why are you not going for it on 3rd and 1 there? I understand you kind of want to ice the game, but that's also a coaching error. I think that Bomber fans should be worried about too, because Mike O'Shea and Hogan, they're making mistakes this year with that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do not usually make when it comes to coaching errors. Usually they're so methodical and so well thought out when it comes to their what how they scheme things and how they when they decide to challenge and when they decide to, you know, play have a trick play or something like that. And it just I don't know if it's desperation mode. I don't know what it is, to be honest. If it's, maybe Buck Pierce was a calming influence there, and now that he's gone, it's just kind of going crazy. But yeah, I love it as a Rider fan, but they just really need to figure that out in Winnipeg because they almost gave this game to Ottawa on a silver platter in the last 3 minutes of the game.
Winnipeg gets the ball with 18 seconds left. I certainly didn't expect, and Ottawa clearly didn't expect, a 17-yard rush from Zach Collaros to then hit Nick Dembski for an 11-yard completion, and then Sergio Castillo wins the game as time expires from 47 yards out. And even if he missed it, Ottawa took a too many players penalty on that kick as well. Sergio gets a second chance. Like, man.
I had some PTSD on that. I'm not going to lie. When that happened, I was like, ooh, I know what that feels like.
Well, good thing that I think you were watching the BC Lions Alouettes game at a bar. And
yeah, but I saw that Montreal got a too many men penalty. Yeah.
Well, and Dwayne Ford referenced the Grey Cup you're talking about.
Good thing I couldn't hear it. Dwayne, I really, really like you, but you don't need to talk about that.
How about Dwayne Ford's video with one LW on X?
That was okay. If LW could be that LW all the time, I think he'd have a lot more people on his side. I thought it was really good. I thought it was insightful. I thought they both had great ideas. And Dwayne Ford is probably the smartest CFL analyst there is when it comes to knowing about the CFL and knowing the intricacies. Like, I think he's been on the short list a couple of times for GM. I don't know if he really, really does want to take that job or not, but he would be an amazing GM. But even better, after hearing this, he would be an amazing commissioner for this league, I think. And I think, I haven't watched the second video yet. I've only watched the first one. But just, his insightfulness when it comes to, talking about restricted contracts and restricted free agents and how that might be able to, make CFL fans kind of fall in love with their team and their players again by having the teams put effort into building them up instead of, having a player draft a player and then, he does well and then he decides to go home. Like look at Nick Dembski. Had a great game this game. He's having a great season. He's having a great career in Winnipeg. But the Riders drafted him. The Riders had him for 2 seasons and then he just decided to go home. If we had a restricted free agency like they do in the NHL, the Riders would have got some compensation for that or would have had the chance to match the contract. So I do really think that that's a great idea. And hopefully that is something that the league and the PA can agree to in the next CBA because that would go a long way to bringing the CFL fans back to buying jerseys and not just putting your own name on a jersey and being able to market these players. Yeah. So again, long story short, I thought it was great. I look forward to watching the other 2 videos that he has. And Luke, just cut the crap online. Like, I understand it's probably really fun for you. I was having a lot of fun trolling an idiot who was trolling me, and so I get it. It's fun. But if you just spent half as much time trolling as being that Luke Wilson, I think it would be so much better and it would be great for this league.
The leading receiver for the Ottawa RedBlacks was Braylon Addison, 7 catches, 60 yards. Geno Lewis, 5 catches, 72. Oh, no, I just Prove myself wrong. Geno Lewis led the RedBlacks in receiving, 5 catches, 72 yards. But yeah, you mentioned Nick Dembski, 6 catches, 128 yards. Carrick Wheatfall, 4 catches in this one. And yeah, Jarrett Stearns, already mentioned him, but a great game for him in blue and gold. Tony Jones, 11 tackles for the Bombers in this one. And we had a side bet. Willie Jefferson, 1.5 knockdowns over under. It was under, Sheldon.
Yeah. Good thing I didn't put anything on that bet. I honestly, I just expect him to get 3 or 4 every game now.
The elusive Jake Thomas gets onto the stat sheet, number 95. With a knockdown there. The leading tackler for the RedBlacks was Zadarius Pickett. He had 1 for a loss. 7 total tackles on Thursday night football. That's week 11 of the 2025 CFL season. Sheldon, you went 4-0?
4-0, baby.
I went 3-1 because I took Ottawa. If I do look at my CFL fantasy roster, I did have, I think, 82 points, 81, because the Owls got a late score from Tyler Sneed to take a point off of my BC Lions defense. I do want to look at the 2-and-out patron league, where I remain in first place.
Yay.
But I was 10th in scoring this week. 67 points behind number 1 ODM R12. Wow, congrats on 148 points. Do you know who that is?
I don't, but yeah, congrats. I think that I just need to start getting my wife, who is watching, my beautiful wife, to just start doing my fantasy, because she
copy her homework.
Yeah, I think I might have to, because she copies my homework a lot when it comes to Pick'em. But a funny thing about Pick'em, so going 4-0, I'm in a couple leagues. One, there, it pays out weekly if you get 4 for 4. I assume this week a lot of people probably went 4 for 4 with all the home teams and the favorites winning. But I'm interested to see if it's only a couple dollars or something like that. But I'm doing pretty decent at Pick'em this year. Doing absolutely terrible at fantasy. So yeah, I think Tammy, let's work together. We'll get you a little more Pick'ems, and you get me some fantasy, and then maybe. I know I'm not winning a jersey, but I need to put up a little bit of a fight here.
Thanks for joining us for 2-and-Out After Dark, live on YouTube. We do hope to do a few more this season as our schedules hopefully allow. You can rate, review, and subscribe to 2-and-Out on YouTube. If you ring the bell and subscribe, you'll know the next time we go live. You can check out the website, 2andout.ca, support our patron, check us out on any podcatcher you want. Sheldon's taking the week off. I'll be back to get you ready for week 12 of the CFL season.
The 2-and-Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to 2-and-Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.